Get ready for sports news and entertainment. All right, here, your 7 minutes with Simmons starts right now.
It's time. I thought I would start today's episode like that. I am no Bruce Buffer. My name is Christian Simmons, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode number 5 of 7 Minutes with Simmons. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Carolina and the Florida Panthers. We're going to shift from the west to the east, talking about conference finals. Of course, yesterday's episode, if you didn't have a chance to tune in, go and give it a listen. All about the Edmonton Oilers, some of their successes, and how they stack up to potentially returning to the Stanley Cup Finals. And today, we're going to talk about Florida and how they continue to do the same things they've done all playoffs long and all, dynasty long. I mean, they're looking like one of those teams that's going to become a problem, up 3-0 in this series over Carolina, really getting their way. But before we get into that, I have to give my good friend Lane Lounsbury one heck of a shout out. Thank you so much, Lane, for your continued support of this podcast. For 4 episodes, he's listened to every single one. 28 minutes of listening from this guy. Got to give him a massive amount of credit. One of my fellow students at Niagara College in the broadcasting program, and himself in his own right, a very good podcaster and a very good YouTuber. Go ahead and give him a look on YouTube. It's at Lane's Man Cave. He's a huge Rams fan and an even bigger football fan as a whole, and he produces some fantastic content on the NFL, the NBA, and some other sports, so go and give him a look. Thank you, Lane, for your continued support of this podcast. I'll see if I can pay it back in the future with hopefully sending some viewers your way. Maybe we can do an episode, a little crossover episode where we sit down together. Lane's Man Cave in 7 Minutes with Simmons crossover EP. We'll see if we can get that done for you folks. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Episode number 5, National Sunscreen Day today, May 27th. Make sure you put on your sunscreen. And one more thing, the Three Little Pigs short film was released today, 80 years ago in 1933. Not exactly 80 years ago. My math is probably a little bit off on that. I think it's actually closer to 90. What are we, 2025? That would be 7 years away. That's 93 years, I think. Somebody comment down below if my math is right. I should have prepared that before I started recording. Yeah, no, that's right. 93 years. Okay. And one more thing before we get in, I want to talk about this new documentary or short film actually that I watched called The GT Racer, Jan Mardenborough. I didn't know this was a thing. There's a guy who was a console simulation driver in Gran Turismo. He was handpicked from basically a video game competition and put into what's called the GT Academy by Nissan, was taught how to drive race cars and went on to compete in Le Mans, placing on the podium. An incredible story, top to bottom. It makes me think that my dreams as a child to be a professional NHL video game player were not all that far-fetched. If you are a video game player, don't give up on your dreams. They might pay off. Jan Mardenborough is a perfect example of that. But let's jump into today's content. We're talking Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, and all things Western Conference Finals. Let's start with the Panthers going up 3-0 in this series. What a job they did on Carolina in those first 3 games. I mean, playing Florida Panthers hockey, clogging the neutral zone, winning pucks, chipping pucks, just playing that sound defensive game that frustrated me watching these guys in round number 2. They did the same thing to us. And when I say us, I mean the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're forcing turnovers, clogging the neutral zone, and really not being flashy on the offensive side of things, but there's nowhere to go. Like, you watch these games for Carolina, the first 3 games, there's nowhere to go. You can't get through the neutral zone. They're causing turnovers, and they're causing those kinds of turnovers that lead to scoring chances. In game 3, Carolina turned the puck over 14 times. That led to scoring chances against. That is a massive number. Considering the scoring differential, it's not hard to believe. In the first 3 games, they were outscored 16-4, were the Carolina Hurricanes. And Florida defensively just built to keep pucks and build on their neutral zone defensive play. Sergei Bobrovsky has really been locked in since round 2, and it's carried over to this series. And of course, the physical play. They make things difficult on everybody out there. There are no passengers, there are no free rides, and it's just a team that's got a ton of fight in them. And at times, they can get away with some stuff. And I was reading a little bit. Elliot Friedman made a statement the other day calling these guys bullies, and I got to agree with that. They're just an exhausting team to play against, and as a fan, it's really hard to watch teams try and break these guys down. And you know, Carolina had a hard time in those first 3 games really doing exactly that until Game 4, a total flip of the script. The Hurricanes last night with no turnovers through 40 minutes, a huge differential in the puck management. That was a huge plus for them last night. They only beat Bobrovsky once, but they got the 2 empty net goals later in the game that allowed them to put that 3-0 stamp on game number 4. And they just kept fighting. They kept fighting hard. And Frederik Andersen put up a fantastic game. He only faced 20 shots, the majority of them being high danger. And Carolina just they put him in a position to be successful. And that he did. In the final swarm, Andersen faced 8 of his total 20 shots. He stopped all of them. Just a solid effort from the Hurricanes, and I think Florida may have underperformed just a little bit. They turned the puck over a little bit more than they typically would, and Paul Maurice post-game mentioned that the lack of moving feet could very much be correlated to these plays getting broken down. Makes a lot of sense. If your players are not moving fast enough, they're not in the position they're supposed to be, meaning sticks and bodies and skates and shin pads are clogging those lanes. If you're moving faster, obviously you get ahead of those defenders. In game number 4, Carolina was able to clog it up. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Game 5 coming up tonight in that series. Game 5 coming up in that series tomorrow, but tonight all eyes turn to the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars. Can Connor McDavid and company get it done tonight? We will see. So will the rest of the hockey world. I'm going to be watching. I hope you are too. Thank you guys so much for listening. That was episode number 5 of 7 Minutes with Simmons. Peace.